Yeah, welcome everybody back to the Flying Doghouse. I thought it might be appropriate for some different music for this one. We're going to have a look at a cold and dark startup, and we're going to have a quick fly in the Inibuilds Curtiss P-40 Warhawk. We're going to take a look at the aircraft. And it did not give the props that it deserved for the performance that it put on during World War II. There are lots of other aircraft that end up getting the sunshine, but the Curtiss P-40 did a lot of heavy lifting for the RAF, for the U.S. Army Air Forces, for the Royal Australian Air Force, and for the Royal Canadian Air Force as well. So anyway, production on this particular aircraft, third most in World War II, 13,738 were built. So let's jump over and take a peek. Okay, so what do we got here? So it's a single engine American plane, single seat fighter. First flew in 1938. It was a modification of a previous design, the Curtiss P-36 Hawk. As I just previously mentioned, it was the third most produced American fighter of World War II after the P-51 and the P-47 Thunderbolt. 13,738, all built in Buffalo, New York. All right, so what else would you want to know about the P-40? And there's tons and tons of information out on the web on this one, folks. I'm just going to skim the surface. All right, crew of one, length 31 feet 8.5 inches, wingspan 37 feet 3.5 inches, height 10 feet 8, empty weight 5,922 pounds, gross weight 8,515 pounds, and it was powered by an Allison V12 liquid-cooled piston engine cranking out 1,240 horsepower. And it also used a 3-bladed Curtiss-Wright electric constant speed propeller. What else? Well, thanks for asking. What else we got? Maximum speed 361 miles an hour, cruise speed 308, range 716 miles. Or 1,152 kilometers at 70% power. Service ceiling 29,100 feet. Time to altitude at 15,000 feet was 6 minutes and 15 seconds. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to our soon-to-be released Microsoft Flightsim 2024 airfield at RAF Debden. It's going to be released over on Flightsim.to. It's freeware. We're going to jump over to Debden, and we're going to have a startup and a walk around, and then we're going to have a quick fly over to Duxford. You can see what the airplane looks like, sounds like, what the inside of the cockpit looks like, and all those other fun things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump over to RAF Debden. Back in a sec. So, we're now sitting on the ramp in my parking place over at RAF Debden. And we're going to fly Trixie today. Let's jump in the cockpit and take a look. This is the Inibuilds P-40 Warhawk. It is a very much underrated aircraft from the Second World War. Anywho, into the cockpit we go. right, so several things, I guess, to get out of the way early. One, there is a tablet built in, and you can turn that on or off. There's an EFB on-off switch here just to the right of the joystick on the front panel. It's got a number of different interesting things in it. VFR map for one. And then you can navigate back home by clicking the house. Maintenance. The aircraft does track how you are abusing it. So several different parameters here for you to keep your eye on as you continue to rack up the flying hours in the P-40. And as you can see, spark plugs, tires, hydraulic fluids, engine oil, some of those fun things. All right, also, this is where you turn on and off some of the features, the ground features anyway. All right, so let's turn some of this stuff on and jump outside. And as you can see, now we have some of the ground immersion kinds of fun things. Anyway, well done. Go back into the aircraft. There we go. Okay, so this is your typical World War II warbird in terms of getting it started. Things are in reasonable location in terms of where you would expect them. Let's go ahead and put the cowl flaps up. Those opened up. And if we jump outside, you will now see the cowl flaps are open. There we go. Alright, so those need to be open for ground operations. Alright, so let's take a look at the built-in cameras since we haven't really turned anything on yet. So let's see. Shift 1. The canopy. Shift 2. Shift 3. Shift 4. Alright, so we'll be using this, right? So, and since we're here, got the battery, the generator, put the primer on here, let that go for a minute or 3. Fuel tank selector is here. Alright, put the primer off. Some of the switches are not active, but most of them are. Shift 5 for the breakers. They're just visuals, they don't work. 6 takes you to the middle of the console. Click sounds are interesting. They seem to be very, very well done. Alright, so we've got fuel pump running. Let's go ahead and hit the starter. And this sounds glorious and to my ears. It also spouts some flame out of the exhaust, which is very, very cool. Alright, so we'll let the engine warm up here. Let's see, 6 was to the middle, 7 will show you your fuel capacity gauge, 8 for your drop tank. 9 to the fuel selector switch. There we go. And she's up and running. Engine controls are where you would expect them to be, right? Pilot left. Parking brake is here. We've got hardware to use. The more merrier. Reds for mixture. There's your throttle. You do have rudder trim and elevator trim. Help out with your takeoffs. Flaps lever is here. Let's jump outside. You probably should turn the tablet on, get rid of the tie downs, and close all the outer doors. There we go. Won't take us but a minute. Get that squared up. All right, looks like we're ready to taxi. We'll cut the EFB off. Get that out of our way. Shift spacebar to center our view. And now let's jump back outside and have a walk around. Stay away from the business end of that big prop. Beautiful classic old airplane. So this is a bird cage kind of canopy. So I guess either love it or not. Texturing, it's well done. There's the fire coming out of the exhaust, and it really does sound good. Anyway, this is not an expensive aircraft. I think it's full price. It's like $20 US in the marketplace, and it's worth every nickel. Anyway, get your plane where planes are sold. But this is definitely one of our favorite warbirds. She's fun to fly. Okay, so speaking of, we are going to cut a few seconds off, and when we come back, we will be sitting at the end of the runway here in Debden, or at least we'll be well on our way for our taxi, and then we'll get in the air. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're sitting at the end of runway 27 at Debden. We're going to make our way over to Duxford. It'll be a relatively quick flight. It's not very far. It's about 8 miles. We're just going to have a go here in the good old 40. Alright, so just keep in mind, she's a tail dragger. With all those fun tail draggery kinds of things. Alright. Ease off the brakes. And up we go. Flaps coming up. Gear coming up. And we'll just make a quick circuit here around Debden. Alright, and away we go. this heading will give us a good run over to Duxford. And we can a little bit more kind to our engine here. Zoom in so we can take a look. We'll get the manifold pressure about 30. All right, it's really not going to surprise you in the air at all. It's quite maneuverable, faster than you would expect. Let's jump outside. It looks great. So as a part of your startup checklist, you need to remember once you get airborne to close your cowl flaps. You won't need them in the air. Like I said, we're almost to Duxford. And there she is. If you haven't downloaded this from Flightsim.to, you definitely need to do that. The updated version for RAF Debden should be released in the next week or so. We are in the final stages of QA for that. And we are doing final testing this week. Let's see, we got winds 282 at 2. So we'll just swing around and make our normal landing we make here at Duxford. All right. Extend out here for a bit. Burning off some airspeed here. And we definitely have some altitude to burn off. Beautiful countryside. Alright, gear coming down. Flaps 1. Flaps 2. And prop RPM back up to help burn off some of the speed. There we are. We're getting a little bit close to the edge here. Beautiful aircraft. Sim-worthy, absolutely. Worth the purchase price, absolutely. Catch it on sale, even better. Currently, this is a 2020 offering, so it has not been fully ported over to 24, but she works nicely. And we'll pump the brakes here and get her load up. And we'll make our taxi. All right, there you have it. P-40 Warhawk from Inibuilds. Good grief, it's good. And we'll dedicate this particular aircraft review, and me personally, every flight I ever take again and again, to the memory of our friend Glenn. It was a pleasure to have known you, boss. Rest easy. Thanks for being part of all of it. All right, we'll leave it at that. Hope everybody is keeping well. On behalf of myself and Trixie, until next time. Cheers, y'all.